In the heart of the Middle East, a fierce and more brutal war is about to repeat itself in a harder way. Iran, bold, defiant, and armed to the teeth. Israel, precise, secretive, and always prepared. 2025 has brought the region closer to the edge than ever before, especially considering the 12-day war between Israel and Iran. But if war breaks out again, why is Iran destined to fall short? This is not propaganda. This is pure military reality. Stay with us as we uncover this reality. Let me explain. Let's compare their military might first. Iran's army is over 500,000 active personnel. With its massive missile stockpile, Shahab, Fatah hypersonic claims. Iranian drones such as Sahid and Mohajer. Naval force in the Persian Gulf. Influence via Hezbollah, which has been weakened and fighting for its survival in Lebanon. PMU in Iraq, the Houthis, which is the only active proxy of Iran. Iran looks strong on paper, but most of this power is made for intimidation, not high-tech warfare. And it comes with one major flaw, which is predictability. The 12-day war has taught Iran a lesson, which has made them to look for alternative source for air defense system and other advanced military aircraft from China. Israel's small but elite military, 170,000 active. Cutting-edge air force, F-35 Adir jets, Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow, 3 missile defense systems and latest laser beam. Drone and cyber warfare capabilities. Homegrown weapons and tech, especially from Rafael, Elbit systems. Integration with US and NATO tech. Israel doesn't match Iran in numbers. It surpasses it in precision, intelligence, and survivability. Every war Israel fights, it fights with tomorrow's technology. This is a hint of what has happened between them, the Shadow War. 2020 to 2025, Israel's assassinations of Iranian scientists. Airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Sabotage at Natanz and other nuclear sites. Cyber attacks, Stuxnet 2.0. Iran is already bleeding from 1,000 cuts, and it still hasn't recovered from the 12-day war. Neither has Israel fully recovered. Israel looks stronger in every battle. Why? Because Israel strikes first, in most cases without warning and with intelligence and precision. Every event is a spark, and in 2025, sparks are everywhere. But Iran knows that fire may destroy them more than it hurts Israel. Let's look at 2025 flashpoints and escalations between Israel and Iran. Hezbollah drone incursions intensify. January to March 2025, Hezbollah launches dozens of Iranian-made Shahid drones across northern Israel. Their target, Israeli military posts near the Golan Heights and border towns. Israel's response, precision airstrikes on Hezbollah drone factories near Baalbek, Lebanon. Escalation. Hezbollah vows retaliation. IDF begins daily aerial patrols using F-35I stealth jets. Israeli airstrikes on Yemen weapons depots and ports. April 2025, Mossad intelligence reveals shipment of Fatah hypersonic missile parts arriving in Yemen's port in Al-Hudaydah. Within 48 hours, Israeli jets strike multiple targets in the port, disrupting their supply line and key military infrastructure. Iran's response threatens a direct and crushing retaliation with their chance death to Israel, death to America. IRGC threatens to disrupt Red Sea shipping lanes. May 2025, Iran's proxy Houthis deploys fast attack boats and drones for attacking Israeli-linked commercial vessels. Result: one ship disabled, others reroute through longer paths. In response, U.S. launched strikes on the Houthis, which they later agreed to a ceasefire. Cyber clashes escalate. Iran launches a cyber attack on Israel's water treatment facilities. Damage: minimal, systems detect breach early. Israel's counter disables Tehran's financial clearinghouse servers for 72 hours. Public impact: ATM failures, online banking collapse in Iran's major cities. In 2025, battles weren't just fought with bombs, but with lines of code. The 12-Day War was a major armed confrontation that erupted in the Middle East in June 2025, intensifying an already volatile situation stemming from the ongoing Gaza war and its expanding regional consequences. The conflict officially began on June 13, 2025, when Israel executed a series of coordinated surprise attacks targeting strategic Iranian military assets and nuclear infrastructure. These initial strikes marked the beginning of a short yet intense war that would escalate regional tensions to an unprecedented level. In the opening hours, Israeli forces, supported by elite units such as the Mossad, conducted highly strategic operations that included the assassination of several high-profile Iranian figures. These included top military commanders, key nuclear scientists, and influential political leaders. Simultaneously, Israeli air and ground units launched precision strikes that significantly damaged or completely destroyed various Iranian air defense systems, nuclear facilities, and critical military installations across the country. Throughout the duration of the conflict, Israel conducted hundreds of airstrikes, aiming to degrade Iran's offensive capabilities and dismantle its nuclear ambitions. In response, Iran launched a fierce counteroffensive, unleashing multiple waves of ballistic missile attacks and deploying over 1,000 suicide drones aimed at Israeli cities, civilian infrastructure, and military sites. The Iranian response was relentless, with more than 550 ballistic missiles being fired during the war. The conflict soon widened beyond the two primary belligerents. The Iran-aligned Houthi rebels in Yemen entered the fray by launching long-range missile attacks targeting Israel, contributing to the broader chaos associated with the ongoing Red Sea crisis. Meanwhile, the United States, acting as a key ally of Israel, initially played a defensive role by intercepting many of the incoming Iranian drones and missiles using advanced air defense systems. However, as Iranian aggression intensified, the U.S. escalated its involvement. On the 9th day of the war, American forces launched airstrikes targeting 3 major Iranian nuclear facilities, marking a shift from defensive to offensive military engagement. In retaliation, Iran fired several ballistic missiles at a U.S. military base located in Qatar, escalating the crisis and risking a broader regional war. Amid mounting international pressure and growing fears of a larger conflict, diplomatic efforts intensified. On June 24th, after sustained negotiations and under heavy pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump, both Israel and Iran agreed to a ceasefire, bringing an end to nearly 2 weeks of intense warfare. The 12-Day War is widely viewed as a significant escalation in the long-standing hostilities between Israel and Iran, an animosity rooted in ideological, political, and military rivalry spanning decades. For years, Iran has refused to recognize Israel's legitimacy, frequently calling for its destruction, while Israel has viewed Iran's nuclear ambitions as an existential threat. This conflict also represented the culmination of years of proxy warfare and rising tensions over Iran's nuclear program, which has been a major source of concern for the international community. Aftermath of the war. Iran's losses. Key assassinations. Mossad-led Israeli operations killed several top Iranian military leaders, nuclear scientists, and politicians in the opening hours. Casualties. Over 3,200 Iranian personnel were killed or injured. Military infrastructure. Israel destroyed air defense systems, 8+ air bases, and 3 major nuclear sites, setting Iran's nuclear program back by 5 to 7 years. Equipment losses. Iran lost over 16 fighter jets, hundreds of missile launchers, and expended 550 ballistic missiles and 1,000+ suicide drones. Proxy weakness. Iran's allies like the Houthis offered minimal support. Hezbollah stayed mostly inactive. Economic damage. Oil exports dropped by 30% and international sanctions were renewed due to the U.S. strikes on nuclear sites. Israel's losses. Civilian casualties. Around 184 civilians were killed, with over 900 injured from Iranian missile and drone strikes. Urban damage. Over 2,000 buildings were hit in cities like Tel Aviv and Haifa. Infrastructure such as power and water systems was briefly disrupted. Military losses. Dozens of IDF personnel were killed, a few military outposts were damaged. Defense costs. Israel used thousands of Iron Dome interceptors and successfully deployed its new Iron Beam laser system, costing over $1 billion. Economic impact. War-related spending and disruptions led to a 1.5% economic contraction. The war lasted just 12 days, but its consequences will last for decades. Israel, small and densely fortified, turned its size into an advantage. Its layered defense systems, Iron Dome, David's Sling, and now Iron Beam, forming a near-impenetrable shield, but no system is perfect. Meanwhile, Iran's geography became its weakness. With dozens of strategic military sites spread across a vast and mountainous land, Israel's precision strikes overwhelmed Iran's ability to respond. Supply lines through Iraq and Syria? Cut off within the first 72 hours. Iran's western bases were hit by Israeli cruise missiles launched from submarines in the Red Sea. And deep in the east, airfields went dark, not from bombs, but from cyber attacks that crippled command centers. A nation stretched wide was struck where it couldn't defend. The 12-day war proved that strategy beats size, and terrain can become a trap. When the missiles started falling, the world held its breath. The United States moved instantly, not with troops but with intelligence, and defensively supported Israel, but later joined the war. Israel succeeded in getting diplomatic support from UK, France, and Germany, which said Israel is doing the dirty job for us. American AWACS planes patrolled near Cyprus. U.S. naval forces in the eastern Mediterranean jammed Iranian radar and intercepted drone swarms before they reached Israeli airspace. Russia, tied down in Ukraine and cautious of expanding the battlefield, gave Iran only token diplomatic support. Surprisingly, Arab nations, the UAE, Bahrain, and even quiet nods from Saudi Arabia, watched without intervening. Some even helped intercept Iranian missiles flying over shared airspace. Iran was fighting alone. Israel wasn't. And the war showed what really matters. Alliances, intelligence, speed. Before the war, it was called the future. After the war, it's called the turning point. The Iron Beam, Israel's laser-based air defense system, was deployed for the first time in full combat during the 12-day war. And it worked. From day 2, Iran launched waves of Shahid drones and short-range rockets from proxies in Lebanon and Iraq. Iron Beam silently picked them off, one by one, with near-zero cost and zero delay. A $20,000 drone, vaporized by a $2 beam of light. In northern Israel, around Haifa and the Golan Heights, the skies lit up, not with explosions, but with invisible beams stopping incoming threats before they could even be seen. Iron Dome and David's Sling intercepted what got through, but Iron Beam changed the game. Lasers aren't just the future anymore. They're Israel's present and Iran's nightmare. Iran didn't just lose missiles in the 12-day war. It lost influence. Hezbollah has suffered major losses in southern Lebanon even before the war started from Israeli airstrikes, and internally, currently facing disarmament pressure from the Lebanese government. Iran's arms shipments were exposed, then destroyed by drone swarms along the Syrian border. In Iraq, PMU factions tried to retaliate. They were met with targeted U.S. drone strikes that wiped out command posts in hours. And in Yemen, the Houthis launched drones toward Eilat, only to have them intercepted and traced back. Their bases were hit by joint Israeli-U.S. strikes days later. Iran's shadow network has break again. Every proxy, every outpost is now a target. And after the war, many are questioning whether Tehran can protect them at all. 12 days, over 4,000 missiles fired, 1,200 intercepted, dozens of Iranian air bases and radar stations destroyed. Cyber attacks took down banking networks and power grids in Tehran. The rial collapsed, protests erupted, and through it all, Israel stood. Why? Because its strategy was never to win with force alone. It was to deny the enemy a chance to fight effectively at all. Iran fought with pride, legacy, and volume. Israel fought with timing, precision, and intelligence. This war was short because it had been prepared for years. Not on battlefields, but in labs, in intelligence briefings, in algorithms, and in silence. This is more than military math. It's about deterrence, psychology, and survival. The Middle East may not want war, but it's closer than ever. Like, subscribe, share. This is Battle Vault, where history, strategy, and reality collide.